My name is Natalie Akbaba, and today I'm going to be talking about teacher-student relationships and the impact it has on students at an early age. So my Ignite talk was specifically focused on describing how positive and constructive student-teacher relationships are very beneficial and important for students in low achieving schools, and how by cultivating those positive relationships, it can really reverse any negative effects that are implicated and pushed upon these students in low achieving, impoverished areas. So what are teacher-student relationships? And teacher-student relationships are basically determined by how teachers and students connect and relate to one another. They can be both negative or positive, and the opportunities to develop these relationships appear in many situations and interactions within a classroom. And this can be through how teachers instruct their students, conversations or discussions that they have with individual students or within the group. And research has found that these relationships can predict a lot of how students develop socially and academically, and that is regardless of a student's gender, race, or sexuality. Now we move on to what an effective teacher-student relationship looks like. And positive, constructive teacher-student relationships are known and sought after to be as effective. Positive and constructive teacher-student relationships are seen to be the most effective ones on a student's growth. Most specifically, the aspects that are most impacted by these kinds of relationships are a student's social performance, and basically that involves how students develop skills such as cooperation and engagement with one another and the classroom, and as well as a student's academic performance that also improves. And this is because a student begins to show greater engagement and a greater interest in the academic material that is being taught, which in turn also increases that student's motivation to learn because they have that relationship with that teacher. And these relationships foster skills that have impacts, long-lasting impacts that translate into many different aspects of their lives. The skills that they learn in these relationships definitely translate over into the following grade levels. And how does a teacher foster these teacher-student relationships, and how are they developed? Research shows that by showing pleasure and enjoyment for students, a teacher can foster these relationships. Also by interacting with students in a responsive manner, offering students help in many different means and forms, such as answering questions and supporting students, as well as helping students reflect on their thinking, which is really important in developing self-regulated learners, as well as demonstrating knowledge about a student's individual backgrounds and interest, and that really translates in how a student feels connected and related and feels important to that teacher. Also, it's important that teachers avoid showing irritability when working with these students, as it just causes frustration and causes students to withdraw, which of course has and shows detrimental impacts. And most importantly, it's very crucial that teachers acknowledge the importance of peers by showing and modeling caringness and respectability towards one another. And the main point of my essay was to show how positive, constructive teacher-student relationships are essential in low-achieving, impoverished areas. And research shows that positive teacher-student relationships are impactful in schools where poverty is prevalent. And in a study that followed kindergartens through 8th grade, found that the quality of teacher-student relationships predicted a number of behavioral outcomes, especially for students with behavioral problems. Students definitely showed improved behaviors when they had more behavioral problems. Students who lack proper role models, which is very common in areas that face poverty, teachers are able to show and provide the proper support and models that foster skills, that promote that student's development, which they don't have the opportunity to do at home. And students are more impacted by positive relationships because of that sole fact that they lack that role model. And in the extended amount of time that students have with teachers, which is usually a 10-month period, they have all this time to learn and gain insight from all these models that these teachers present, and it promotes a chance for successful outcomes in future years. Now, on to my experience and the conclusions that I have found. I think it was really important on shedding light on how a teacher's job is way more important than academics. So it's a teacher not only serves as an academic model and provides instruction, but they serve as moral role models for students and provide social and emotional support that is essentially needed at any age. And it taught me that teachers need to gain training to develop these skills in order to promote and teach it to their own students. And I learned that effective teaching can be as critically impactful as ineffective teaching. So just as much as effective teaching can improve and impact a student's life positively, being an ineffective teacher can have detrimental effects and just do the opposite of everything that I described. And I definitely learned that it's crucial to intervene in students' lives at an early age, because research shows that it's nearly impossible to erase prior deficits in poor teaching. And overall, this was an enjoyable experience for me as I gain insight on. I've become knowledgeable about a crucial issue in the field of education, and I'm going to be a future speech pathologist, and I'll be educating and rehabilitating the ability of speech for people of all ages, and especially students in schools. And I can apply what I have learned to my own profession and serve as a model and definitely integrate these teachings into my own work. And I think that's so important. And not only that, I can educate other peers about how important it is to enhance skills of empathy and support and encouragement so they can be great at their profession as well. And overall, I think this was a good educational experience for myself, and I'm glad that I did this. Thank you.